Hi, welcome to Talking Tech. I'm your host, Caroline Hill, and I'm here in Chateau Canet with Chloe Bradshaw, who's Senior Product Owner at A&O Shearman. Hi, Chloe.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming chatting to me. We're in this very relaxed setting. It's going to be a very informal chat, but I couldn't resist grabbing you because you chaired one of the panels here. And it's kind of fascinating. You were talking about adoption with your panel and what drives adoption. You have selected quite a significant number of products at A&O Shearman, and I was really curious as to, it's maybe difficult to generalise, but perhaps what you're looking for when you're looking at the products that you onboard, if there's certain things that you can generalise about in terms of your priorities, in terms of vendors or products.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's lots that goes into it. I think one of the main points that we sort of talked to on the panel today was around looking for that problem. We are trying to solve problems at the business. So once we found that problem, then we can identify the products or the vendors that can kind of solve that need. I think as well, once we found those groups of vendors, we tend to look at obviously the architectural standpoint, their governance, what type of AI models they're using, how their infosec and infrastructure, what that sort of looks like, and their setup. That all feeds into our needs and our requirements. Obviously cost, that always comes into it, although, you know, people think we have an endless budget at A&O, but, you know, we do have to factor in cost. But really, we've done a lot of bake-offs, so we've compared, and the vendors probably hate it, but we will happily get vendors in a room together and get people sat down on the products and comparing them and give sort of live feedback. Mm. And it really is just what works best. Sometimes that is usability, you know, how easy the product is to get on with, what they're used to, and if we're working in their native environment. So a lot of the products, if they communicate well with our document management system, with our Word and our Excel and Microsoft, where our lawyers live, and Teams, if we can get them all talking to each other, it's easier to bring in those products that have that need. So
interesting. And you made a point on the panel about that you've got lots of different point solutions, but you go for excellence. So I've been having a lot of conversations around that sort of topic, around, you know, do you try to go for one platform, particularly in the interest of AI and being able to leverage maybe agentic AI? It's interesting, but you said specifically that you're looking for excellent solutions that solve a problem, I think. And just to take you back briefly as well, so I raised the point about, do you just onboard technology that just because you want to encourage people to use new technology, or it's a specific problem? You just raised that as well, that it's brought on board to solve a specific problem, which is really the way that it should be.
Yes,
you're definitely going for that sort of like the kind of the excellence, even if it means multiple products.
Yes, exactly. We found a lot of the time, and vendors, they're all bringing out new features all the time, so there's so much overlap, and that will continue to happen. But unless the functionality is really exactly what we need and it does the job, then we will happily bring in a product that fixes that exact problem, even if someone else might offer it, but it's slightly a diluted version. We really want the best in class ultimately. And we're quite lucky we've got our Fuse incubation hub as well at the firm. So we see a lot of these new companies, these startups, and we get the opportunity to trial a lot of those products quite early on and also help build into those products. I think what we love is working with vendors and enhancing their product, you know, in tandem. Working with them on building their roadmap, because we want to make sure the product's best for us, and obviously the vendor then benefits from improving their product from direct feedback from our lawyers as well. Yeah,
you've always been so great at that. I know Shruti Ajitsaria, obviously she heads Fuse, doesn't she? And you've been running that for a long time, bringing on board new technology and really sort of giving it your input in order to shape it, which I've always thought has been a really interesting model. You've been doing that for quite some time now.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I think it's a really interesting time. I think that there's so much pressure to sort of do things a certain way. So I think it's great, you know, it's not a surprise for A&O Shearman, let's be fair. But I think it's really great that you're sort of sticking to your own path.
Yeah.
I guess it comes with the benefits of having such a large firm with a big tech capability as well. You know?
Yeah, we can bring on the tech that we want, but also, you know, we do have to get rid of some as well.
Right.
You know, we can't just continue to onboard. So
how do you do that then? So you vendors, listen up.
Yeah, how do we get rid of you? No, it's just
Could be you.
It's real. We are really leaning into this product ownership concept, which is where I come in. And it's sometimes we've bought in products and we just kind of left them and hoped for the best that usage will just maintain, and that hasn't happened. There is a lot around ensuring uptake, enhancing products as they grow, giving that knowledge back to the lawyers, and this kind of full 360 ownership. So that's what you need to continue doing. If you don't look after your products, no one will use them, and they will have to sort of die off, and you need to look somewhere else. But it also feeds into that innovation piece. If your vendors are being innovative and they are staying on the curve and they are enhancing their solutions, we're likely to continue using them.
You asked a question of everyone. This is the last thing, and then you asked a question of everybody. It was quite a cool panel where you had like red and green, and you had to like hold up red for no and green for yes. And you said, and you asked the audience, like, if something's not being adopted, if a product's not being adopted after 6 months, do you abort or get rid of it or whatever?
Successful,
I held up green because I think no. But what do you think?
I think, and this is maybe again, those statements were meant to be controversial. They're meant
100%,
to kind of
it's
think
kind of fun. Yeah.
Personally, I think you've put enough into your pilot and the first 6 months to see success. I think if you're not seeing it, you should call it. My boss will always tell me, he says, you make all these decisions, and I'm not scared to say this is call it. I think really you should know if it's going to be successful after the pilot. The first 6 months is just your onboarding, your growth. Really, you want to see as much growth as possible. If you're not seeing success in the first 6 months, I think...
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's moving so fast as well, isn't it? You haven't got time. You haven't got time to be banging your drum. And,
Exactly.
Chloe, pleasure.
Thank
you so much.
so
really
much.
Appreciate you talking to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with Chris White, who many of you will know. He's been the CIO of firms including Ashurst and Clyde & Co, and is now an independent consultant. And we are here at the beautiful Chateau Canet in France. Hi, Chris.
Hello there. Good to be here. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So just a quick opportunity while we're here to have a catch up. Chris was actually, I was just reflecting, the first ever interview on camera I did many, many moons ago when you were extremely kind to me when I knew even less about tech. But it's been a long while since then, and so much has changed, and you're now interacting with many different firms. And I just wondered, just very quickly, while we're here, if I could pick your brains on what's the most pressing thing that people are asking you for help with?
Well, I think the first thing, if I go into a new law firm, or in fact any business, the first thing people ask me is, what should we be doing about AI? And that is the question I probably bet my house on the fact that they will ask me that question. And it all goes from there. They asked me that question. I've then asked them what they mean by the question, what do they mean by AI, what do they think AI is. And clearly it's something of, it's very, very high profile. Any legal magazine or website you look at, AI is all over it. But the way I view it is that AI is another tool which can be of benefit to firms. Is it going to change the way in which firms work? The answer is yes. Is it going to radically re-engineer the firm? Is it going to mean lawyers don't have work any longer? The answer is very much no, it's not.
It's so interesting that you say that. I see a whole portion of work being done by AI in terms of the particularly more junior work. I'm not an end of lawyers person, but I believe that there may be more work coming as a result. But nonetheless, I do think it's going to have a massive impact in terms of a whole layer of work, perhaps at a more routine, repeatable level, lower level, being done by AI. I do feel like it's going to have a massive impact, but you're not saying that it's not.
I'm not saying it won't have a massive impact. What I'm saying is that it won't be the end of law firms as we know them today. If you think about why most customers or clients engage with a law firm, is they want legal advice. And they want to talk to a lawyer who can actually give that advice. Absolutely agree that AI and that type of technology will automate some processes in exactly the same way that 15 years ago we started getting electronic data rooms. So you didn't need to have lots of lawyers sitting in a room pouring through all the documents. All of that work is now automated using technology. Things like digitalization, again, help to automate a lot of these processes. And I think AI is just the next reincarnation of that. And yes, it's a hugely powerful tool. Yes, it can really help with the efficiency of the way in which we conduct law, particularly at the more junior, process-driven end of the market. But is it going to replace the lawyer? No, it's not. And I think there's always going to be that need for the specialist lawyer there.
Just real quick, and then I'll let us both go back to Chateau Canet.
Yeah.
Do you advise them on, for me, one of the biggest challenges is billing, and we've talked about this for donkey's years, but it's coming up time and again. And I'm hearing some really interesting models where firms are moving away, even if the underlying metric is the billable hour. They're finding more ways to actually be able to leverage technology, including AI, to greatest effect.
Yeah.
Are you advising firms on that? Are they coming to you asking that, or are they still thinking we're going to try and apply technology but keep the existing model?
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because for years and years and years we've heard about the end of the billable hour. Yes, we are getting a lot more fixed price work now than we've ever had in the past, but I don't know what the percentage is, but certainly a very, very high percentage of law firm work is still billed by the hour, particularly at the more senior end of work. And I think that will continue for a long time. I think the challenge is that client expectations, they think if you actually use technology to deliver a solution to them, which speeds up that solution. So, a piece of work might have taken 100 hours. Now, because you're using technology, it takes, let's say, 50 hours. They are expecting their bill to be half. And of course, that's a very naive way of looking at it, because the firms have to invest significantly in that technology in the first place. I think at best what it's helping to do is to contain those costs. But a law firm has certain fixed costs, and it's very difficult to move away from that model. So it's going to help, I think, firms with being competitive or maintaining that competitive level. But I don't think we're going to suddenly see the price of legal work half or anything like that because they're using technology.
I think so. The expression that I hear the most at the moment is "watch this space." I feel that I think right. It's another watch this space. But
I think it is. But I think also it's an evolution. It's not a revolution. Absolutely no doubt it will have an impact. But I always say that technology is the enabler for a law firm. It is not the driver. Technology does not drive the practice of law.
Yeah.
Technology helps with the practice of law, helps to make sure our lawyers continue to be efficient, helps to automate processes, but it doesn't drive the practice of law.
I can't wait. We're going to, we'll chat in a year and we'll have a reflect and see how things have moved, see how the dials move. I can't wait.
Indeed.
And so lovely as always to chat to you. Thank you, Chris.
And you, my pleasure. Hopefully we'll chat here in a year's time.
In a year. We'll see you in a year. I'm here with Nisha Morjaria, who is Head of Innovation at Talbots Law. Hi, Nisha.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good.
Are you enjoying the beautiful sunny day at the Chateau?
It's awful. I'm not going to lie. It's terrible.
We are spoiled.
We are not having any fun. Nisha, it's so good to chat to you. So I grabbed you because you chaired a panel, and I just wanted to just take the opportunity to chat to you about, so when we were thinking about what to talk about, which is these interviews are quite spontaneous, which I absolutely love, so thank you. But we decided that it would be anything other than AI, right? Which you'll be delighted to hear about, no doubt, because I'm sure that it resonates with a lot of people who don't want to talk about AI. But so you're Head of Innovation at your firm. Tell me, when it's not AI, what's top of your list of priorities?
Absolutely. We're going to swing back to AI, aren't we? So I think one of the things that we are really looking and prioritizing at the moment is data. And data is so important and has a thread through so many different innovative and, valuable business transformation pieces, if I'm honest with you. So I think, we want to understand, data from inception, who our clients are, where those opportunities are coming from, how can we nurture those, client relationships better? How do we create almost like a seamless data flow from start to finish? So capturing things, such as that inquiry, converting it into a quote, understanding what kind of services then we can market back out to that particular client. Our slogan at Talbots is Talbots for Law, Talbots for Life.
Lovely.
And, one of the things we want to do is actually look at the fact that, we've got a client that comes to us. Let's make that process simple. Somebody could be a first-time buyer. Somebody then, would want to engage with us for a will or a divorce, or, maybe they've got a speeding ticket. So we are a multidisciplinary law firm. And one of the frustrating things, I found, not in legal, but in other sectors, I'm constantly filling out the same information about my profile. So I think data is really, really important, Caroline, because I think when you interact with a business, and it's so powerful, if somebody can come back to me, hey, we've got all your credentials here, don't worry about it, it's a simpler process to instruct us for a will. Yeah. And also, I believe data is, the new gold dust, if that makes sense, purely because, we can start applying those AI automative processes to make, transaction quicker, faster. We still want our experts, throughout that transaction to be heavily involved, but it's making, their lives, simpler, because we're almost putting the data through the correct processes and, bundling that up for our lawyers to assess, validate, and then take the, corrective next steps in action.
I'm seeing that so much coming through. So a lot of the vendors are trying to sort of encourage people to move towards sort of one platform. A lot of law firms are using Fabric. They're trying to, because obviously we're as an industry, we've got these sort of like multiple point solutions, and we've got data that doesn't integrate. So but I do think this is the two words of the year so far for me have been data and context.
Absolutely.
And obviously the two kind of go hand in hand particularly when we're talking about the subject that we're not going to talk about, but both of these are related. But this is the foundational work that everybody needs to be thinking about. And I think it's really, so important that you've addressed that. Because I think without that, every other project hits a blocker.
Absolutely. And there are challenges, you've just mentioned, we've got lots of different business models within the legal industry, and you've got, law firms that are, very advanced and use all digital onboarding, technical tools. They have functions within their, business setup to at every stage to gather those. And you'll have others that are doing it manually and actually across multiple tools and, tech devices or paper-based files, dare I say it. So I think, people are definitely in different stages and different journeys. The blue sky thinking for me would be exactly what you said, is to have everything almost like in a amazing one, or a limited tech stack, rather than adding on to the tech stack. So we've got, can I actually do my onboarding, digital ID? Can I then create my file within that case management platform? Can all the data actually sit within the master system? And the processing, and we're going to be saying the word again, can I process AI and, through one platform?
But I'm seeing that so much, and then I must let you go. But I so appreciate this conversation. So I'm seeing a lot of work around either creating a data, so creating data layers, different ways, or creating data lake houses, and then using AI to be able to interrogate that data. I think there's so much progress being made. It's really exciting. And then when you think about what you can actually start to do with that for clients,
absolutely,
once you start to break down the sort of the disconnect between some of those systems, I think it's going to get really exciting potentially.
Yes, let's watch this space.
I said that in the last interview.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nisha. Really nice chatting with you.
You too.